Hi, welcome back. This is part 3, but before we go to part 3, I owe you the Zachman framework. So here's the Zachman framework version 2, and as you can see, it looks like a periodic table. So that's how he calls it too. You can download this from zachman.com, and it shows you the taxonomy of artifacts that you should have for a complete enterprise architecture. So moving on, in part 1, I discussed the rationale for enterprise architecture for health, and in part 2, the different EA frameworks or methodologies that are available. Having said all of that, EA adoption is easier said than done. Yes, there are frameworks that are available, and yes, there are certification trainings that could be taken. But how do you actually get an enterprise architecture drawn and used at national scale? In TOGAF, this is explicitly described as one of the techniques of the Architecture Development Methodology, or the ADM. It says that stakeholding is an important step in EA development and must be invested upon. This means locking yourself up and writing an EA all by yourself will not help. Only a wide consultation with key stakeholders will elicit the necessary inputs to make for an effective EA. And this is where leadership and governance come to play. As I mentioned in part 1, the WHO ITU National eHealth Strategy Toolkit suggested an organizational structure to lead the national eHealth strategy development. In the Philippines, the structure turns out to be very similar to that of the toolkit. At the top is the National eHealth Steering Committee, chaired by the Secretary or Minister of Health, and co-chaired by the Secretary of Science and Technology. Below them is a technical working group. The TWG does all of the thinking and planning and uploads them to the steering committee for formalization. Early TWG recommendations were the creation of a health standards expert group and a health data security and privacy expert group. The Philippine Health Information Network is a wide base of constituents representing the broader stakeholder base. We anticipate countries in the Asian region to have similar structures soon. This would definitely encourage more participation from civil society and facilitate e-health adoption. What is clearly emerging is that enterprise architectures are of no use unless they receive the mandate from authorities and unless they involve civil society. In the end, if an enterprise architecture will be the map for everyone, they might as well be part of the planning process. Increased participation and knowledge exchange with a broad stakeholder group will result in co-ownership and development of responsive solutions and applications. This is simply logical. An enterprise architecture will only work if the leaders say we should have one and the stakeholders abide by it. To this end, the top-level steering committee in the Philippines agreed to adopt an IT governance framework to guide the national eHealth strategy implementation. Presently, the Department of Health is acquiring the necessary inputs and advice towards obtaining certification in COBIT, or Control Objectives in Information and Related Technologies. It's a business framework for governance and management of enterprise IT. As this is not an IT governance talk, I will simply show the COBIT processes and highlight where EA is placed within that framework. Indeed, there are a lot more boxes to think about, but IT governance is a topic for another session. The other solution lies in AHIN's eHealth Capacity Roadmap. It is a series of certification trainings designed to incrementally build capacity to execute a national eHealth strategy. We realize that we have a lot of work to do in the region and that countries will need assistance. We have crafted this roadmap to guide them on what trainings are available and in what order they may be taken so they can move towards building and maintaining their own eHealth strategies. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present our work in the region and our perspectives on how important EA is in our development. I hope that I can meet some of you face-to-face sometime in the future. Feel free to email me at my email address for questions or through a system to be provided by the SANA organizers. I apologize for not being able to answer them now, but I promise to make myself available sometime online for the Q&A. Good day, And before I end, I'd just like to show you my favorite toy. It's a Commodore 64. This is Alvin Marcelo from the Asia eHealth Information Network signing off. Bye.